Hey guys, Robert and Ingrid here, and we're this time it's not an at the movies. We got some of those coming, but today we have an anime discussion with Spy
Spy
Family
Family!
or Spy X Family. The X is silent,
Hmm.
and I love it.
I love it too. It's really interesting because they managed to really easily tonally balance like an intrigue spy thriller with a rom-com with a
Yep.
really interesting premise and a joyful cast of
Yep.
characters.
Basically, we feel as now it's been a while since I've rewatched it. Since you just rewatched it, you have a lot of names in your head. You have
Yep.
the and Twilight, if I
Who,
recall.
yeah,
The
Twilight is sort of the character whose
the
POV
Bond.
we start from,
He's the
who's sort of
James
our
Bond. Yeah.
James
Yeah.
Bond, who takes on the name of Loid Forger for
Mhm.
what is called Operation Strix, where basically he more or less has to make a quote unquote fake family in order to be able to infiltrate eight some of the upper echelons
For
of
one in
their
particular
society.
who's very private, very stupidly private.
Yes, and their aim to do that is to basically get a kid involved in the same big private school they go to, Eden. And
Yep.
so he's got to.
What you get for the kid first, which is
Mhm. Anya,
Anya,
who is, as it turns out, a kid who can read
but he
minds.
doesn't know that.
He doesn't know
And
that.
that's the funny thing about all this. Anya knows everything, but the other two parents know nothing.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's just like because she's been so weird and strange
Oh, yeah,
acting
she's the one where you get all the
previously.
weird expressions like, or
Yes, Anya's expressions are great, but because of that, it sort of took a while for her to find an actual family to be with. But it's sort of like, yeah, this kind of works perfectly, and she just thinks
mm,
the fact that Lloyd is a spy is so
so cool because
cool.
she loves the spy show.
Yes, yes, she really does.
So yeah, then of course through circumstances he meets up with
Yor, who is our
my favorite.
mutual favorite,
I
she's so
adore you.
great
Yor
because
is basically now, whereas Lloyd, he's still able to mix in with society. He's actually able to have a social life
mhm,
or fake it at least.
mhm,
Yor, none of that. She's an assassin. That's all she does. She has zero social skills.
yeah,
None.
yeah,
But that's
the
also because
best
she had to
she's.
raise her brother, so she had to be more like a mom to him. Oh
Mhm.
God, does that lead to some creepy stuff later?
Oh
But
yeah,
but basically, yeah, she has, and she's reaching that age where in Japan you would be considered the Christmas cake, the
yeah.
aging out, like the no one would
Yeah,
want you
and
at your
so
age.
there's sort of a lot of pressure of domesticity, and I love how she's another case of the duality
Oh
where it's just like
yeah, when she's the what's her assassin name?
I believe it's something.
Like it's a is it bug related or think or something or flower related?
Yeah, I think it's like Black Rose.
Black
Black
Rose. Yeah,
Rose.
when she's a Black Rose, she is so hyper competent. She is so good at her job. So, like, may I have the permission to take your life?
Yeah, it's just like, and she's like, she looks beautiful and
Yeah,
graceful while she does it.
definitely.
It's like
But like I said, her social life,
it's basically non-existent, and it's just like
she's
she's
not.
very cognizantly aware of how she stands out from all of the other gals, but it's in a way that feels really interesting and natural. It's just like I take lives as a day job. How do you make normal time office conversations when that's mainly what you're acquainted with? And
Yep. And but then it turned out what I love best is the two get married by a slip of the tongue. It was a
yes,
simple slip of the tongue. He was meant to pose as her boyfriend. And
yeah,
he's
and like
because he
this,
had just been in a fight, he's not thinking clearly, so he says, wife.
and it's just like
Whoops.
it basically turns their comedy of errors turns into their new cover story.
But yeah, but I just love that though. Just one slip of the tongue, and it
Yeah.
makes it from something that's easier to manage to something that's like, oh
Oh
geez.
shit, we have to get this
But
all
that the fact
together.
is though, they work and they realize we work well.
They
That's what I
do
love
work
about this
well.
is that it's not just now she's doing it for because she needs for her some of her own covers and everything because things were
Yeah.
trying to go a little too that it's basically he benefits from having her around more than she benefits from having him, but there is no slight benefit.
Yeah.
But again, throughout, and of course Anya loves them both.
Yes, it's like
Although
a spy and an assassin?
Woo! But again, the two have no idea. In fact, they're on opposing sides.
Yes.
That's the big irony. They are on opposing sides and have no idea.
Mhm.
But yeah, but then of course things don't always go to plan. Now I do love when I'm trying to get her in. How you have the turns
Yes.
out this is such a prestigious school, they will do anything to make sure they weed out everyone.
Yes, and so you have all of these different trials that involve doing various kinds of stuff.
But it seems they are so prepared. Right down to having extra outfits and everything. It's like,
Yes.
and I love that. It's like, who prepares for I just love how the headmaster's like, who prepares for stuff like that? Right? It's just like,
Yes, and
what?
it's just like it's so often where you think, oh, they've bungled it, they've screwed it over, only for
Nope.
the headmaster to go, such elegance,
So
such grace.
by the end of it all, you're to the point where they risk their lives to help people whenever a stampede started.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good and fun. Oh wait, I just realized we just missed a great part. When yours with Anya, they're out just getting food, and these thugs try to abduct and threaten Anya. And even though she is a surrogate mother thing, but she already has the motherly instinct. She is already Mama Bear, and she's like that
Yes.
famous line of what was it? You do not like I am her mother.
Yes, and it's just like she destroys them, and then she's worried, oh no, I wrecked my grocery.
Yes. Of course, Anya's like, again,
Yeah.
that
Her expressions are incredible.
again, you see that she's the biggest meme factory of this show is her expression. But anyway, they're able to get their way through there, showing how bad they are, even though there's one member there who is in there mostly because he's the son of a former, higher up.
Mm-hmm.
And he is all like, we don't want them here. Why should
Yeah.
he's trying to do everything to sabotage it to the point where the headmaster gives up his position to make sure they're able to get in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's like, oh boy, the fact that they almost bungle it. A couple of times they almost bungle it when they do the
It's
interviews.
just like, oh, it's your second marriage? What's
Uh-oh.
the circumstances behind that?
Of course, the others are like, dude.
Really? That's what you're going for in this situation?
Which I think that's why it blew up in his face because it's like you're clearly targeting them.
Mm-hmm.
They've already proven themselves. You don't like it, and you want to do everything to make sure they fail.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. But once they get in, though, Anya screws things up constantly.
Yes.
Right down to hitting the kid that they're trying, that's the son of the guy they're trying to get into. It's like,
Yes.
oh. Because he was hoping befriend him. That ain't going to work, even though it kind of is able to get that back on track as the show goes on. But even then, though, it's just like, Anya, she has no idea what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when she reads mine.
Yeah, it's like there's only so far that ability can do because sometimes it can lead her to taking the exact wrong tack on a situation.
Exactly. Right? And then, what's her friend's name? Geez, the other girl.
I forgot, sorry.
But the fact that she has a crush on Loid.
Yeah, oh, I mean...
That's a typical anime trope.
That's also something that happens with young girls and celebrity crushes. Let's be real.
Definitely, or just grown men. But the point where she's like, oh, I gotta take care of it's just like, how old are you again, kid?
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's yours brother that's the problem. Where it's like, it's not, okay, if they were step siblings, I'd have no problem. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I'm like, oh no, okay. I know it's the Oedipus complex, but this is, because, he's like she's the mother figure, but this is
just, no.
I don't get, no, like, he loves his sister. And what I mean by love.
Yeah, just not a thing that would be appropriate for siblings.
Now, it's played for laughs, and obviously she's oblivious. She is beyond oblivious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't blame her.
Uh-huh.
And wouldn't you be oblivious too?
Yeah, I mean, that would not be the first assumption that would go to my mind, because, normal person.
Now, of course, if there's anyone who's on the thread of figuring out Loid is Twilight, it's probably him.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's always stuff that keeps throwing it off, he's probably the one closest who could figure it out, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, this is going to be such a slow burn of a show. A very slow burn.
Yeah, I'm a bit further ahead and I'm more recently caught up, but I can see that things are heating up a bit more. It's like...
Oh yeah, but the manga's still a bit ahead, but even then, it's like, no, they're perfectly adapting the manga. There's not that much filler stuff from it. In fact, they more expand stuff from the manga a little bit or trim it. So that's one thing I like.
Yeah, it's just like they're very keeping in pace with it.
Exactly. It's not going to end up like Naruto, where it's going to be overtaking the manga, hopefully. But oh yeah, we forgot about the dog.
Oh yes, the dog.
The dog, they've ended up because she wants a pet, and they realize, hey, having a pet would help their status.
Yeah, it's just like families have pets. That is a normal thing for family to have, but their adventure of actually getting a pet is another thing entirely.
And they end up finding a pet who also has his own psychic abilities. He can see the future. Him together with Anya actually make a great team. Now, of course, he's a bigger dog and everything, so a bit of an issue, but at least this whole bit where they're trying to use these dogs as suicide bombers.
Yeah, which is not great, but...
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention the turmoil between the countries.
Oh yes, we've got...
The reason why they're on the two opposing sides, you have Twilight, Loid represents the hierarchy, if I recall right? The, or is it the other one that's the hierarchy? Which one is it?
I know one of them's got East in their names and one of them's
got West
in
so two different
their
countries.
names.
Yeah, two different countries. But yeah, and let's just put it this way: yours family were taken out by the side that Loid is defending. Yeah, you know, one day that's gonna hit the fan. We know that, but they haven't yet. But one day that's going to. But yeah, the two opposing factions, and then of course you have one side's always trying. Basically, it's like East and West Germany.
Yeah, something like that. It's very much a Cold War kind of deal where they're trying to keep this from blowing up behind.
But one side's a bit more capitalistic, one side's a bit more communistic, if I recall. But not blatant.
Yeah, it's like, it's sort of...
It's clearly using Germany as the basis.
Yeah, but it's like, it's more set dressing for the character drama.
Exactly. But yeah,
the main point is the character.
Like I said, one of the sides is doing these suicide bombers. Oh boy, but yeah, the face that York gives, again, when those guys are threatening Anya, is like, "Arr!" And of course, makes the dogs run off, it makes Anya freak out. Remember that face? That's that, like,
oh yeah.
But, eventually, by the end of it all, the dog helps save her. Oh, yeah. Anya having to figure out, I can't tell him about my abilities. So how can I explain what to do and explain how I know this? I love that that's always been a big part of her characters. Like, what do I do? So sometimes she has to go and do it, go into danger on her own. Of course, Dad's like, how do I explain how I got here?
Yeah.
It's all this stuff. It's like, reality ensues with her. She gets hit hardest by reality ensues more than any other character.
Yeah, and it's like, it makes sense. It's just a kid trying to navigate the world, and having a leg up can sometimes be more of a problem than if she were just normal, which I really like how how her mind-reading powers are both help solve the plot, but also are catalysts for adding plot complications as well.
Especially when she reads someone's mind and realizes, like, hey, wait a second, is ready to get antagonistic with them, or is like, spouts out something she shouldn't know. Again, this whole show is just, and there's a lot of slice of life, I've noticed. Like, a good number of episodes are slice of life for the most part, with only a few that actually progress the ongoing plot. But I will say this, it's progressing much faster than Case Closed. Case Closed, good God, talk about a glacial pace, where it's mostly crime of the week, and with only once in a blue moon do they put in a plot for the main story. Like, no, this one, at least each episode does inch the plot forward, just in inches. With a few episodes that take a footstep.
Yeah, where it's just like, and yeah, I think it definitely gets more heated up until the more recent point where we sort of had a major turning point.
Oh, what happened? Tell me what happened.
Well, they've officially made first contact with Desmond.
Oh, that's their target, and...
Yes, and I'm not going to tell you how that goes.
I know, you can tell me.
Basically, Loid does a brilliant thing of trying to use apologizing for Anya's behavior personally in a formal way as a way to get in contact with him.
Oh!
And as it turns out, Desmond is kind of a dick to his kid, because it seems he sort of seems to view everything else as tools, and you can tell that he's so desperately trying to get into his favor, but it just sort of gives him and Loid a look into his psychological
So in
profile
other
to sort
words,
of understand, okay, this is what we're up against, and
so
snap.
yeah, because until this point, I was always wondering if we were going to find out Desmond's not that bad a guy. But now you're telling me this, I'm like, oh no, he's as bad as we've been told.
Yeah, he is definitely as bad as
Now,
we've been
am I right?
told.
Before that point, were you thinking the same thing? They were going to subvert things and find out, oh, he's probably not as bad. He's probably oblivious.
But nope, he's got a very active stake in making sure this conflict continues.
Oh boy! Again, but were you expecting that until this point? Did you? Isn't that? Did you think the same thing? Like they're gonna probably subvert it because they've been subverting a lot of other stuff so far. But then,
Yeah, but no, they actually. But I think playing this one straight was the right choice,
yeah.
because that's something that's a really juicy hook for making our political side of things heat up. And I guess I'd like to see more of Assassin Yor. I feel like that's
Hmm.
kind of fallen a bit by the
Yeah,
wayside.
I know it's been more. She gets the short end. It's more about now. To be fair, we did saw it was Loid, so it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And really, his stuff is more the ongoing spy stuff. Her being an assassin, unless we have it be that she's part of some, or she becomes part of some other organization, it's not going to play out the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this though, I did love the bit with her, that bag of tomatoes and everything, and you
Yes.
think, oh, did she just come back from this? Did she just do an assassination gig? But it's like, you crushed the tomatoes! Ah! I just love when they mess with that to make you think like, wait, what happened?
Yes. And it's like it's a fertile ground where it could plausibly be either explanation.
Well, it ends up being, I think it was the tomatoes, wasn't it? Because
Yes,
for
but
giving
it's
her
just
reaction, like,
like,
ah!
mm-hmm.
But oh boy! But again, your and also the English dub very good. I've seen some ones that were like they're just passing on. No, this one they got some really good stuff. I mean, it's clear the guy doing Lloyd, he's channeling Bond, all of
Yes.
the Bonds, not just one. He's made it his own Bond voice, but you can
Mm-hmm.
still tell he's taking from bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Anya might be the one that can get grating at times, but she teeters that line. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there are some times where you're like, "Shut up, Anya."
Mm-hmm. Though I sort of alternated between watching the episodes in English and in
Right.
Japanese.
And then your great voice, great voice.
Oh,
She is able
yes.
to perfectly go back and forth between Black Rose and home, mom.
Mm-hmm.
And when she's that way, she's all like, again, this is all like, oh, this all her mind is racing. I love when all of their minds start racing because
Mm-hmm.
of their trying to keep these lies up. But again, the
Mm-hmm.
fact is, though, out of all of them, yours is probably the one with the, I won't say the least to lose, but she has the least to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah.
She has the least to hide out of everyone, yet she freaks out so much
Mm-hmm.
because she just assumes people are going to figure out her cover when it's like, but that's the other funny thing. She has the least to hide, yet she's probably the worst at hiding it.
Yes, I
You
like
realize
that
that.
contrast
You
where
realize that,
it's
right? She has
just
the
like,
least to hide, but she's so terrible at hiding it.
mm-hmm.
Remember the one where she got drunk and was a great fighter?
Yeah.
And the fact that, she could have taken down Loid, no quad problem. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's obvious, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's one thing an assassin and against a spy, assassins are probably going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But Lloyd is much better at keeping his cool. It's his able to juggle things on a dime when things
Yes,
fit.
I remember that particular whole sequence when he was doing a mission at the aquarium,
Yeah. Oh
trying
yeah.
to retrieve some information that was hidden in a penguin, while also managing taking Anya and Yor out on a family vacation. Because as it turns out, he took up on a bit too much work.
Yep. But he was still able to juggle it very well by the end.
Yes.
And by the end, it took some luck to save him, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, throughout all of this, it's real good now. But here's the deal: how long can you see them doing this? Like I said, it's never gonna go case closed level of stretching it out. The premise does not allow that compared to
I
case
feel
closed.
like sort of going to reach a point where at least one of the major secrets gets revealed, and that's sort of going
Who do you
to
think is gonna be the first one? In all honesty, I think it's gonna be Anya's.
Yeah, I feel like Anya's secret would probably be the one to go out first, because once they know that she can read minds, that
Or
suddenly
Lloyd. It's either
changes
her or
everything.
Lloyd. I think the comedy of Yor being so bad at it, but her being the last to have hers outed would make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think either that Lloyd or Anya will be the ones, one of the two, to get outed.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I think we've already reached the point where Yor would be totally devastated and totally conflicted if she finds out the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It, and if it was earlier, she'd have killed Lloyd.
Yeah, but now it's like they've had all of this emotional bond together, and it's just like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that would be a really good way to bring a good conflict for her character, since she's clearly got
His
kind of
side killed my family.
yeah.
Like he's been playing me.
Mm-hmm. Like that would be a way to make some real genuine conflict.
Or worse, what if there was ever a mission where she sent to hunt down Twilight?
Oh, that would be another good one. I
And
feel
that's of course
like
for the
another
Mr. and
hook.
Mrs. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Or it
you
could.
know that's inevitably going to happen. You know eventually there's going to be a case where we need you to take out Black Rose. There's a hit on you. You take out Twilight. Oh Lord.
Yes.
And Anya's going to be like, oh
Mom and Dad, they want Mom and Dad to kill each other.
no. But they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And oh boy, I can see her trying to do everything in her power to dissuade, like, no, that can't be right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's absolutely not mom. Why would you think it's mom?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do like how at least Anya's in on it with Lloyd, at least.
Mm-hmm.
That I always did like.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Like, at least she's in on it with that part.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it would have been too much of a mess if she wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, there's so much more to go, but right now it's on a hiatus. They do have a movie in the works as well, the second season.
Yeah,
And
that'll be something that we could watch together.
yep, although I gotta say, the fact that there were some people saying, "Oh, the creator doesn't like it," he never said that.
Mm-hmm.
You were aware of that, right? How people try to say
Yeah,
that.
I'm
Like,
aware of that controversy.
if I remember right, it was taking his phrase out of context.
Yeah.
Because they made it seem like, oh, he only does it for the money. No, no. I think he said he had some. If I remember, I didn't say he had some issues with it, with how things have been going. It's not like his preferred stuff, but he doesn't hate working on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because this guy's been trying to get something made a hit for years, and it's like this is the thing that becomes a hit. Yeah, that I can understand him
Yeah,
having some issue.
it's sort of like if it's sort of like that thing where it's like, hey, this thing I made on a whim ends up getting far more attention than
My
what I've been
artistic
working
stuff.
on than my artistic stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like if you made masterpieces, and then you made this schlock comic, and the schlock comic is what's getting you all your money.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, but I want to do my masterpieces, but this is what's getting my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Something along those lines, but it's good stuff
Oh yeah, it is good
regardless.
stuff. It is good stuff. Like I said, but I do think there's a finite road on this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because there's only so far you can keep this up.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
and yeah, now that we have actually seen Desmond on screen, I think that's
Oh,
sort of a
and
significant turning point.
I think by making it clear he is a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
it's made it clear. Like, okay, good. There's no going to be a conflict of interest. Because again, I kept expecting that. Like, oh, he's going to be not that bad of a guy. The way things are going, it's going to be revealed. He doesn't know. But now we know this. We're like, okay, he's got to go down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all we've got to say on this. You guys should check it out. It's on Hulu or Crunchyroll.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.